Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is our take. We are your hosts. I'm Motion.
I'm Taylor.
And ladies and gentlemen, on this episode, we are going to transport you back in time 5 years. Just kidding, ladies and gentlemen. We're bringing to you guys kind of a little bit different of an episode. This is not a newly released film. This film has been out for 5 years, but it's a film that has some relevance due to something that's coming up. So today we're going to be giving you guys our take on Sony Pictures' Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. This movie came out in 2018. I know, we're a little bit late, just a little bit. But the reason why we're doing this episode is because next week, on June 2nd of 2023, into Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse comes out. Super highly anticipated movie. And if you guys watched our trailer reaction for that film, you guys would know that my co-host, until about 2 hours ago, had not seen the first Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. So I dragged him over to my house this weekend, made him sit down on the couch, and I forced him to watch this movie tonight. Nah, just kidding. He just came over to watch it because he wanted to watch it.
I wanted to see it before the second one came out.
Right, you had to. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been good. So Taylor is finally caught up to speed on this Spider-Man franchise or this Spider-Man series, and we figured we'd do an episode on it because this movie came out before our channel started, right? And I really loved this movie the first time I saw it, and I had been hyping it up for him, telling him all these good things about it. I'm sure other people did as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, when the movie came out, I remember just hearing about it nonstop.
Yeah, So now we're gonna find out Taylor's thoughts, and I'll share mine as well. But this is probably mostly gonna be aimed at Taylor's thoughts. So, traditional fashion as always, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go spoiler free content. We'll dive into some spoilers. The spoiler free content won't be too long because by this point everybody should have seen it, except for if you're Taylor. But we'll keep it brief, get into some scores, and then dive into the spoilers and find out what Taylor really thought about Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse. Taylor, who does this movie star?
There's a lot of people. Miles Morales is voiced by Shamik Moore.
Okay.
Gwen Stacy, aka Spider-Gwen, aka Ghost Spider. Many names.
Spider-Woman.
Haley Steinfeld. And one of the Spider-Men is voiced by Jake Johnson, which is the one that's not dead.
Oh, okay. So Peter B. Parker.
Yeah. The initial Spider-Man that we meet is voiced by Chris Pine.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Oh.
But he wasn't alive long enough for me to recognize his voice. And then we had Spider-Man Noir, voiced by none other than Nicolas Cage.
The man.
And then Prowler, I'm assuming this is the uncle.
Yes, Prowler's the uncle.
Don't know how to pronounce your name, but I'm going to try. Shala Ali.
Okay.
Spider-Ham, voiced by John Mulaney. MJ, I didn't know that either. It was voiced by Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
And then I don't know this character, but it's Jefferson Davis, voiced by Brian Tyree Henry.
Is that the dad?
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't really tell. I'm just going to assume it's the dad. And then Kingpin, I was trying to figure out who this was for a long time throughout the movie, but he's voiced by Liev Schreiber, which is Logan's brother.
Yes.
And then Scorpion, another person I was trying to figure out their voice, is by Joaquin Cosio.
Oh, I don't know that person.
I can't remember what else he's been in, but you would probably recognize him.
I'm sure when I add in the pictures and post, I'll be like, oh, that guy.
Yeah. And then Penny Parker is by Kimiko Glenn.
Okay.
Not familiar with you.
Yeah, not too familiar either.
And then last two, Dr. Olivia, Liv, Octavius, Doc Ock, Catherine Hahn, and then Aunt May by Lily Tomlin.
Oh, okay. Awesome. All right, sweet. Well, spoiler-free content, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, it's gonna be brief because by this point, probably 90% of you guys have seen it.
It's kind of weird to be doing
but
non-spoiler for these.
But for those of you that are like Taylor, this movie is great. I loved it the first time, rewatched it today. This is my second time watching it. Still love it. Still think it's an amazing movie. Like I said in the trailer reaction, the first time I watched this movie made me want to be a better dad and there's just certain themes in there that really rang true with me. And I really, really enjoyed it. And it was kind of a fresh take on Spider-Man and a lot of things. And I just really enjoyed it. So, Taylor, after 5 years of waiting and after 2 hours of sitting through the movie, what are your spoiler-free thoughts on Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse?
Well, I will say this movie does, in fact, live up to the hype that everybody seems to have given it and all the praise I think it is deserved for this movie. Mm-hmm. It is amazing. I loved it. Many things about it were really good. I almost could see how somebody would say this is possibly the best Spider-Man movie ever made. I can't say that personally, but I think I know why. And it's simply due to the fact that I did not grow up with this.
Sure.
So this can't be my Spider-Man, because Spider-Man for me will always be Tobey Maguire. Yeah. But that's just because I grew up with him.
Right.
And on top of that, I think it's because that was like my major dive into Spider-Man, the character. And if you didn't already know the story of Spider-Man, that might help if this was the first one to ever experience for it to be your favorite.
Right.
So I could totally see that. But regardless, it's an amazing movie.
Yeah. I'm so glad to hear that. So glad that even despite all of the hype and expectations that were set for you, that it still delivered and still impressed you. So really stoked to hear that. Let's get into some scores. As traditional 1 through 10. Taylor, what is your score for Spider-Man Into the Spiderverse?
This is absolutely a 10 out of 10.
Hey, my man. Yeah. All right. I feel so much better about wanting to give this a 10 out of 10 because I really do think it's deserving. And if you had said 9 out of 10, I probably would have followed suit because I was on the fringe of I don't know, but I feel so much better.
Yeah.
And I also am going to give this movie a 10 out of 10.
Honestly, I could make an argument for it to be a 9 out of 10.
Sure.
But because of what I feel like it accomplishes, I think it's a little bit more deserving.
Yeah. It was a really good movie, and it's not too often that my dad retroactively says it's the best movie that he saw that year. So my dad does a top 5 every year, right? He didn't watch this movie until I think 2020 or so. And he told me that if he had watched it in 2018, it would have been his favorite movie of the year. And for him to say that retroactively about a movie and about an animated movie is really, really impressive. So yeah, it's very deserving. Very deserving.
Didn't he do the same thing? Not necessarily top movie, but didn't he do the same thing
with All Quiet on
the Western Front?
Yeah, he said it would have bumped some movies out of his top 10 video that we did together.
Yeah.
But
that's just the nature of not being able to watch everything. So
exactly. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we miss things here and there. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Although when this movie came out, it was just a time in my life that I didn't go to the theaters, so I just never went out to go watch it that year.
Yeah, that was going to be one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, what stopped you from seeing this movie until now?
That was pretty much it, honestly, is like, I remember, that's the year I separated, like I finally got out of the Army.
Okay.
And for some reason, I remember when this came out and I was super excited for it.
Because I figured this would be like right up your alley.
Is. And not surprisingly, I loved it.
Yeah.
It's animated, and I fucking love animated things. It's Spider-Man on top of that, which is, one of my more favorite Marvel characters.
Sure.
And a lot of the styling and everything they do in this is definitely things that I like. And so it is kind of surprising I waited until now, but it's really just because I never went to a lot of movies that year in the theater. So a lot of the movies I did watch was like, later on when it finally came to streaming or something, some kind of service. I used to just pirate a lot of movies too on top of that. but yeah, I don't know why I never took the time to like watch it, because I never finished it, and watching this has made me excited to go back into the game. But I played a little bit of the video game, and all the Spider-Man video games are super fun.
Always super good.
I love even the older ones, even though it's not really that amazing, because a lot of older superhero games are just kind of crap anyways. But I still love them, and the newer ones are always like top, PlayStation
games. Definitely.
So it's made me excited for the new movie. It makes me want to go back and like finish the game and stuff. And it's great.
Every once in a while, there's something that comes out, or a TV show that gets really popular that I just slips through the cracks for me. Like one of them is Breaking Bad. I don't know if you've ever watched Breaking Bad, but I haven't. I haven't watched Breaking Bad. Everybody I've ever talked to about it says it's amazing, 100% worth the watch. I just haven't gotten around to watching it, and it's been out for longer than this has been out. So
Every once in a while, I can totally understand that, but shows for me, it's a little bit different because it's a much longer.
For me, it's like once I start, I can't stop. I'm gonna stay up till 4:00 in the morning watching.
Yeah, just a binger.
I'm a binger, and I know that about myself. So I know that I'm gonna love Breaking Bad, and I'm gonna want to watch as much as I possibly can. But I also am trying to be a responsible adult and make sure I can get up for work in the morning and provide for my family. So that's the conundrum.
If you watch Breaking Bad, you'll learn to make drugs, and then that can provide for your family.
Hey, you're not wrong about that, brother. You're not wrong about that. All right, let's get into some spoilers, ladies and gentlemen. You have our scores, you have our initial thoughts. Let's get into some spoilers so we can find out what you loved about the movie, and if you guys haven't seen it, give you guys a rundown of what happened. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is gonna serve as your official
spoiler alert.
All right, so. I'm super happy that you really enjoyed this movie, because I know we talked about it in a few other movies, but a lot of times when people hype up a movie and set these expectations for stuff, a lot of times they fall short for people, right? And I'm guilty of doing that for people too, so I'm really glad that you really enjoyed this movie. But I figured you would, because it's like... doesn't really get more your type than this.
Yeah,
like this is pretty much exactly what I would imagine you'd want out of a movie like this. So, who out of the 6 Spider-Mans that are in this, not including the original Peter Parker that dies, the 6 that do the final battle or whatever, right? Who is your favorite Spider-Man?
Who do you think my favorite Spider-Man?
Spider-Noir.
Or Spider-Woman? Yeah, it is Spider-Man.
Spider-Noir.
Come on, dude.
It's Nick
Cage. And he looks, he's also really cool looking. And
he looks very Watchmen vibes.
He is. He reminds me a lot about Rorschach, which is my favorite character from the Watchmen.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like my dream Batman, but he's not Batman.
Yeah, so to get him as Spider-Man, it's close.
Fucking awesome. He's awesome. Hilarious. His introduction when he's like, "I used to fight Nazis." It's just great.
It's so funny.
They're all awesome though.
Yeah, they are.
The only one I was a little iffy on is Penny Parker. You're just diva, bro. From Overwatch.
It's so funny that you say that. That's so funny that you say that because that's pretty much exactly how I feel.
That's exactly what you are. You're diva.
Yeah. For those that don't know, Diva is a character from the video game called Overwatch.
Yeah.
And
I'd be surprised if you didn't know. I mean, you probably know what the character looks like, even if you don't know the game, because she's like the poster child, basically.
Yeah. She has this giant mech robot that she sits inside of and fights with.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Same thing.
Exactly, Penny Parker.
Yeah, Penny Parker. Spider-Man version. But other than that, I thought they were all super great. I mean, I've always been a fan of Spider-Gwen.
Sure.
I don't really know like too much about her character exactly.
I don't either.
I mean, I know Gwen Stacy, but not so much of like the Spider version.
Tangents.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know either.
And then what is his name?
Porker.
Parker.
No. Yeah.
Peter Porker.
That's
super funny.
I love it so much.
It's ridiculous, but it's funny.
That's all, folks. Is he legally allowed to say that?
He's legally required to say that.
Oh man.
But yeah, they're all great. The whole movie, man, I was like, dude, where's his suit? Because I already know what his suit looks like.
Right.
So I'm like, when are you getting your suit, bro? And then when that finally happens, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a good feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was just this movie reminds me kind of a similar feeling of No Way Home. In that it gives you a little bit of the nostalgia stuff, but it does enough with a lot of the newer stuff to make it feel like its own.
Yeah, that it stands on its own. Yeah.
Because I mean, in case you don't know, I don't like Tom Holland Spider-Man, but No Way Home specifically, I thought was an amazing movie, and I was surprised that it didn't. Because I didn't get anything, right? When that came out, they wore like an award or anything.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Because I vaguely remember everybody being like, "Why did this win or not win anything?" or something like that. Or maybe it just didn't win Best Picture or something. I don't know.
I don't really know off the top of my head what Academy Awards it was up for.
But either way, that was a great movie, and this movie gave me like a similar feeling where it may not have been my original experience with like the original Spider-Man that I know, but it was a perfect like blend of, in its own styling, of course, which is amazing. Love the art done in this movie. Fantastic animation. The music is perfect. The fact that I feel like it's funny that this movie is kind of doing what Disney is trying to do with every other hero, but just way better in the fact that it gets rid of the original character and builds up a perfectly replacement with, well, in this case, multiple replacements, but done well.
Yeah.
Whereas right now, with all of our new Marvel stuff, it's kind of like it's kind of weird, and it, for the most part, is like doesn't quite sit right. But this was a great example of doing that. What they're trying to do.
Yeah, it's a really good point. That it replaces the original, and now knowing the little information that we know going into the second movie, Across the Spiderverse, I feel like it's even going to expand even more on that. Right? It's gonna delve into almost like variant type stuff where there's good Spider-Man, there's bad Spider-Man, or whatever. We'll find out next week on that, but I really agree on a lot of things you say. In fact, I'm pretty sure as far as the art style goes, I'm pretty sure you're the one that said it during our trailer reaction about how the art style is appealing to not only people like us that enjoy comics and anime or animated movies, but to kind of an older generation too as well,
Right.
because I'm pretty sure that you're the one that said it, but it's almost, or it pretty much is how I would imagine somebody that read comics back in the 80s, 70s,
Yeah.
when comics were the only source of this kind of stories or entertainment,
Yep.
how they envisioned it in their head, like transferring what they were reading and what they were seeing on the paper and turning it into a movie in their head.
Yeah.
And
So, I think that was when we did the trailer reaction for the new one.
I think so. And I think that's like such an amazing way to put it, because when I rewatched this movie, I was just I know I remember all the little text boxes and
it's
the onomatopoeia words and
like
stuff.
that, yeah.
But like it's just so true that like this is literally just comic book pages come to life and animated a little bit more to make it a little fluid and
to just fit the
and make it into a movie.
cinematic experience. Yeah.
And it's such an incredible art style, and it's so different than so many other animated things that are mainstream, So I really enjoy that about this movie, and I'm excited to see what they do with it going into the second movie.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I thought was interesting for my experience is with a lot of newer animated movies, it usually takes me like some time watching it to like really get immersed into like the world. But this movie, like as soon as it starts, I'm locked in.
Interesting.
I don't know why. I guess it's just the entire experience of like watching it and the styling and the sounds and music and stuff. But because I'm not even a big comic reader, but I don't know what it was with this movie. It just, as soon as it started, I was like, I was just in.
Just grabbed you and put you in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this movie. What was your favorite part?
I don't really know if I have like a specific favorite part, at least right now. I feel like I would have to like think about it.
Well, let's just run through some of your favorite scenes then.
Okay. It's kind of I guess it kind of would be weird, but I did enjoy the second Spider-Man, the one that he meets.
Oh, Peter B. Parker.
Yeah.
Sure.
I don't know why, but when he was explaining like his story, and it's really depressing and stuff.
Very depressing.
And it's weird to me because it basically does what Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man does, his version.
Yeah.
Except I did not like those movies or his Spider-Man.
Sure.
But I guess maybe it's just the new presentation of it in this, but I just enjoyed seeing a Spider-Man that like
didn't have everything go right for him.
Well, he had a lot of things going wrong for him. It was just interesting to see. And then with Miles, I mean, I liked his entire journey, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
His family and everything, which I'm sure will be a little bit more involved in the second one. His relationship with his dad is great. We don't really get to touch on his mom too much. But like I said, I can't even, that's probably more involved in the second one. And then his uncle, that relationship.
Oh man.
It's not surprising like in the movie, but it still hits really hard.
Did you know, like how early did you know that Prowler was his uncle?
I just assumed it was he was one of the guys, not necessarily like I mean, I guess he's the only masked one, so
yeah.
But when after he hangs out with him and then he gets the powers, we never see him again.
Right.
So I figured that's kind of weird for him to be missing for so long up until the point that he finally gets revealed and stuff. Especially approaching or like following him to well, it's not really following him, but going back to his place.
Yeah.
It's a little well, it's convenient, I guess. So I just figured out, okay, he's probably the bad guy, which, like I said, still really good because
it hit me pretty hard.
I was afraid that he was going to not reveal himself to him, as while he was in the really stupid costume. But he does, and then that gives him the moment where he also reveals himself, and then he like basically has his entire life flash between his eyes.
Yeah,
that he's like feels like a failure and stuff, and he's let him down. But it's really sad, and I liked it a lot.
Super sad, and
it was good to get a not Uncle Ben,
but Uncle Ben moment.
But Uncle Ben moment, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that I really liked about this movie when I first saw it, because there's a lot of movies nowadays that there's no real consequences to the heroes. There's no real consequences. And this movie, there's multiple deaths in this movie. The original Spider-Man dies at the hands of Fisk, and he's dead. Like, it's not like they bring him back in some way. He's gone. His uncle dies in his hands, and you have to see his brother find him in the alley.
I will say the one thing about his death I thought was strange was that it was just a gunshot. Like, I don't know what his suit. I don't even know the character.
It's a little weird that his suit wouldn't
singular
repel.
Shot.
Yeah,
from a pistol just killed him.
I know
they don't want to show like blood and stuff, but it's like you didn't look like you died until you were like in your death moment, your death scene. But
it's just a little weird that if you're a supervillain with like a crazy costume like that it wouldn't resist bullets a little bit. You just made it out of cloth.
I feel like you should resist a lot of things. You're a supervillain,
especially if you have no like powers. Like if you're just a human inside, like you would want to protect yourself. But whatever,
because his suit. That shit was like strong as hell.
Yeah. But he died, and then there's also the mech, Penny Parker's mech suit thing, gets destroyed, right? So
that one I thought was kind of weird too, because it's like, just get another suit.
Well, it's her dad's robot, so there's a little bit of an emotional attachment there because of it, but I'm pretty sure she makes another one. I think that's what her scene later on.
All just recharges and then
exactly. So
and then she calls in another one. And then
but I just really like that there were real consequences. Like those people are gone, and it forced different characters to progress, right? Like Miles Morales, he got thrust into being Spider-Man because the original Spider-Man died and could no longer teach him.
Yeah.
And so now all they had was Miles Morales. And then when his uncle died, it forced him to like rethink what he was doing and how his role plays into all this. So I just really like that there was actual consequences.
Yeah.
And they didn't shy away from permanently ending characters' storylines.
Yeah. One thing they had in this movie that most other ones that have something similar don't do is with multi-dimensional alternate universe, whatever stuff. When Spider-Man B meets Mary Jane again, he doesn't fuck up the mission. Like, he does have a moment. Yeah. But in most other things, this is what ruins like whatever they're trying to do, because they just lose their shit
and they
just can't
stay
try to fix, or they can't stay focused with whatever they're trying to do, and then they get lost in their past trying to fix it in the moment, when it's not even their whatever
their person or whatever it is.
So it's really small, but I just liked the fact that he had a little moment and he got to talk to her, but he reeled it in, and then they kept going.
Gwen reeled him in.
Yeah.
Gwen kept him on target. No, that's a good point. That's a good point, that it's a little unusual. So this movie does a lot of things right, in my opinion. I really love the depiction of Wilson Fisk in this movie. I don't get me wrong, I actually really enjoy Wilson Fisk from I think he's mostly in oh my gosh, what is the TV show? Oh man. Blind, Lawyer.
Blind Lawyer.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The Marvel TV show. He's a Marvel superhero that's blind, but he's a lawyer. Matthew Murdock. What is?
I mean, the only blind person I know is Daredevil.
Yes, Daredevil.
He's a lawyer.
Gosh. Yeah, he's a lawyer.
Oh, not in the movie. He's not.
Oh, well, I'm talking about the TV show that's actually part of canon, the MCU canon. Yeah, he's a lawyer. I think he's mostly in that. Wilson Fisk. I don't remember the actor's name, but he does a pretty good Wilson Fisk. But this Wilson Fisk is what I remember from the comics. Just a gigantic beast of a man. That
you talking about Kingpin?
Yeah, Kingpin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just a massive man.
Yeah, he's ginormous.
Yeah, just huge. And I love the way that they did his character, and I hope he comes back because he's a huge villain in the MCU. In the Marvel.
Yeah,
comics.
he was good. The only thing I wasn't super big on is like his motivation. It seemed a little lacking, and I think it's just because they choose not to develop it or something.
Yeah.
It's like super basic.
Yeah, it is. He's trying to bring back his family from another dimension.
And there's nothing wrong with like that goal. It's just they don't touch on it a whole lot, so it just made me feel a little weird about him being like the main bad.
That's fair.
You know?
That's a fair analysis. I think what they rely on for Wilson Fisk is for people to have prior knowledge of him. Because if you've read the comics or if you know him from the TV show, Wilson Fisk is like a social degenerate, basically. Like he cannot really socialize. He's an outcast to society. And Vanessa, his wife, she is this like prominent person that for whatever reason took interest in him and kind of like was the only person that was ever real or nice with him, and so he became obsessive with her, and he was like, you know, just super protective, and super obsessed with her. So like for me, as somebody that like I know a little bit about his background, it makes sense to me, but I can totally understand how if you're unfamiliar with those finer details of his character, that it would feel pretty bland.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
But like you said, it like it ends up being fine, like because he's not really like the focus.
Right.
But and this is, I guess it doesn't really matter because it's Marvel, but I just feel like if you're gonna be a villain, he should get a little bit more development, and which, you know, like you said, we
got another movie coming next week.
Another movie.
We never know.
It's supposed to be two.
Two more at least.
Yeah, Across the Spiderverse, and then I can't remember what the last one's called, but it comes out the following year, so next year, 2024.
Okay.
I think it's in March next year.
Okay.
But you know, we got more time, so
sure.
If they choose to, they can. It's just something I noticed while I was watching it.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not really the focus, so it's not that big of a deal. It's just I do like villains. As like I feel like it's important to have good
for sure
villains to help us be more attached to the heroes.
Yep.
You know.
That's something that a lot of superhero and just movies in general have been lacking lately, is a real villain. Everybody wants bad guys to be misunderstood.
Which, unfortunately, I think it's just the reflection of the climate of today.
Sure, this is the
society,
societal climate. Yeah, That's fair. So let's say, I mean, the second movie is going to do well. It's going to do well. I'm sure the third movie is going to do well as well. But let's say Sony continues to make movies within this particular universe, and they start branching out and doing movies on maybe like spinoffs or just
there's actually a like you said, the two movies, the one coming out next week, the one coming out next year. There's also a spinoff that was I think is in the works, and then a potential show from this as well.
Is it gonna follow like one of these
I believe the spinoff one is gonna be for Gwen.
Okay.
And I don't know about the show.
Okay. Who would you want the show to be about?
I mean, to be honest, it would be Spider-Man Noir. Especially his show, because I feel like his character would fit perfectly for a show.
Yeah, perfectly.
It makes sense to me that a spin-off movie for Gwen.
Sure.
I think that's a good choice. And then honestly, the other ones, like, they're cool, but I don't think they stand enough on their own to warrant it yet. But because we're, the next movie came out with even more versions.
Let's touch on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're filming this episode on May 27th, and it's going to come out. This episode is going to be released the same day that Spider-Man Across the Universe gets released on June 2nd.
Yeah.
So when you guys are watching this video, it's going to be a little weird because the new movie is going to come out, and our reaction to that movie, we'll do a reaction that'll come out the following Monday on the 5th. So make sure you guys keep an eye out for that. But let's talk about next week. What are you hoping to see next week in the second movie? And I think we have a kind of a general idea of where it's headed because it's going to explore more of the multiverse.
Yeah,
we're going to see a lot more Spider-Mans.
From the trailer and stuff, obviously we're going to see a lot more versions and stuff. I guess it would be weird, but I want a darker tone in the second one.
Okay.
Just because I felt like this one did like the kind of good origin story build up already for Miles.
Sure.
And it's kind of unusual for it to like focus on it, especially for a Marvel character to, explore like the really bad stuff.
So are we talking about like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 3?
No, not kind of emo. not that. Which, for all it's worth, I still enjoy that.
I did too. I ain't gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen.
I know it's a meme, but
to be fair, we were young when that came out.
I was
all
like,
we knew.
I thought it was cool, right? But I mean, especially because I think it's 99 is the Spider-Man 99 is that one that comes up in the end, the big
I think
evil
so.
looking
I'm
one.
not 100% sure. I'm not too knowledgeable on it, but
I'm not either. But he just looks like more edgy. Sure. So I'm gonna imagine he's more maybe angry or aggressive in nature.
Maybe he has some darker motivations.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to see Miles. I don't know how much time will be passed by the time in the second one, but I feel like it'd be a good point for him to start exploring like the dark side of being a hero and being Spider-Man. And stuff.
See him come to terms and understand what his powers could be used for negatively. Right.
If he chose a different path.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting thing to see for sure. Do you think that by the end of this movie, his family will know who he is, or do you think they're gonna continue to keep that a secret?
The second one?
Yeah.
I feel like it's not. His mom
is
gonna know.
Oh, you think
just his mom is gonna find out.
I think
the third movie is gonna be saved for a unfortunate revealing for his father,
because at that point it might be like turn into a negative thing between him and his father. That like, oh, after all this time, now you're gonna tell me,
right?
And oh, you knew already.
Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, you wear the mask not for you, for the ones you love.
And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, you either die the hero or live long enough
to see yourself become the villain.
So,
and with great power comes great.
Don't you finish that sentence.
That's so funny.
This movie was great. I really enjoyed it. I'm really looking forward to next week. I promise you guys we'll get a reaction and a breakdown out as soon as we possibly can after that. But yeah, man, I'm pretty stoked that you enjoyed this movie so
Does
much.
it come out in special screening?
I have no idea. I'd be willing to go. I'd be willing to go to something special next week. I don't know if a 40X screening would be in order, you know? I don't even know if it was.
It is in 40X.
I don't know, man. It's I don't know. Maybe I'd feel like I'm swinging through the streets.
At the very least, I'm watching this in IMAX.
Yeah. All right. I'll think about it. I'll think about a 40X.
But if you want to do 40X, we can do 40X.
Okay.
Maybe we'll just watch it twice.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
we'll watch it in normal, like a standard,
good.
and then 40X.
Maybe it's so good that we watch it twice. I don't know. We'll see. Anything else you wanna talk about for this movie, bro?
No, I mean, it was a great movie. I'm excited for the future ones. I'm excited for the future projects that they are, got working or whatever. Great job. Yeah.
10 out of 10, ladies and gentlemen. Doesn't have to happen too often on this channel. Especially a movie that is 5 years old as of right now. And the sequel is coming out next week.
And especially, I feel like it's for the character. Like,
yeah.
I mean, is the oldest and most well-known
superhero of all time. Yeah.
Well, Marvel hero of all time. Yeah.
True. Yeah.
Like he's.
I think Superman was around before.
Yeah, Superman is the original, but for Marvel, like Spider-Man, he's the guy.
Stan Lee's baby.
Yeah.
What did you think of the Stan Lee cameo, real quick?
It was really funny. I enjoyed
awesome,
it.
Right?
Yeah,
it was really cool.
I wasn't expecting it, honestly, just because it's I guess because it's animated.
Yeah.
I didn't even think.
Yeah, that he
would be in it, but it was great.
Yeah, that was really cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't seen this movie yet, I want you to let us know down in the comments below what's wrong with you and why you haven't seen it. All right. Taylor shared what was wrong with him. Now it's your turn. But if you have seen this movie, let us know down in the comments below what your favorite scene from this movie is, as well as what you're hoping to see come today when you watch this movie. The new movie, or when you watch this episode, the new movie will be out. So let us know in the comments below what you're looking forward to about Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse.
Let's see if number 2 can hold a 10 out of 10.
That's a big ask. It's not very often that sequels.
It's not, but it's happened.
Do well. It has. We'll see, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for joining us on this episode. Thank you for the love and support you've shown us throughout the week of episodes. Keep an eye out for Spider-Man Across the Spiderverse coming out next week, Monday. Be ready for that. We appreciate you guys. We love you. Please like, subscribe, comment, share with a friend. Check out our social media links as well as the other shows here on Any Kind Media. And we'll catch you guys in the next episode.
Bye, guys.